Hello, everyone, beautiful friends. So much love to you. I wanted to come in with some love and just things that I've been learning and thinking about, and I hope that it's helpful for anyone listening. This post-eclipse world is crazy. I definitely feel like such a new person. Really, like every week, every day. I know a lot of people relate to that. I hear that from everyone. It's truly incredible times that we're in. Something that I've really been feeling and learning is just trusting more than ever before. Trusting myself, trusting God, trusting the benevolent creational forces that we are and that we are working with. And it's a car. It might be kind of loud. I guess the biggest thing that I want to share on my heart right now is with trusting life. It's so much easier to trust life. It's so often we don't even realize it that we're fighting life. And I get that message a lot. Why are you fighting life? And fighting life, sacred, beautiful, precious life. When you're finding yourself fighting life, that's a good sign that you're coming from an egotistical place, because it's a traumatic place. You can't trust life, trying to fight life, trying to fight what is, trying to fight your sacred process, your sacred path. And again, I know for myself, I continue to learn that when you set your intentions high, you connect to God force within you, truly and genuinely, the path comes before you. The path towards your greatest and highest self comes before you. And it's so helpful when we can begin to really trust that, because there's so many things on this path that will simply not make sense to our egos. And not only that, but it will trigger our egos. And it's just kind of part of the process. It's part of the process of evolution that we're in. And it's not an obstacle. It's the way to have your ego triggered, and then for you to actually be a witness to it full on. It hurts to be a witness to your ego, to see it, and then make the jump, basically. Whatever it is, you need to do. Deep down, we always know what we need to do to begin to transmute these traumas, these egotistical triggers of the old ways, the old reality, the old paradigm, which is one that is of the ego. It's when we're controlled by our egos, controlled by our mind, controlled by our programming, by just this matrix that we are born into. And as we talk about a lot on this channel and in many different spiritual communities, this is part of the evolution. So that's a big thing that I want to share, is just the more that I can trust life, trust what's arising, as I think the biggest thing is always keeping your heart in alignment with God the best you can. Nobody's perfect. We're all human. Don't be so hard on yourself. But to keep your heart in alignment with God the best you can as you walk this path, that's when you can really begin to trust yourself. And the more you trust yourself, the better you'll feel. And then, I notice in my life, the more I'm going to be continuing to be asked to trust myself even deeper, to follow my heart, to follow my heart's calling, to listen to my heart, instead of all of this egotistical programming of fear and anxiety and separation. It's so tempting. And again, we're all human, you know, we all make mistakes, or we all stumble. But not even seeing them as mistakes all the time, because it's just part of the learning process with everything we're doing right now, you know, like a baby learning to walk. It's like that baby, you know, getting up, falling down, getting up, falling down, you know, sometimes it's just part of the process, but eventually you begin to walk. You do. And eventually you begin to run. Eventually you begin to ride bicycles, drive cars, maybe even fly airplanes. Who knows? This is just a good metaphor, but, you know, our evolution is continual. And just a reminder that we are 100% in, I don't know what to call it, revelationary times, where this whole world is ending and beginning anew. We all know that. We can feel it in our bones, right? And it's not something to be afraid of. It's something the ego can be afraid of, because it is, it's the end of this old paradigm. It truly is. I've known this for so long, and it still blows my mind when I see it crumbling from the very foundation. And it can be scary, but just a reminder that it's all, I feel just so divine when I see how, as this matrix is crumbling, as these egotistical illusions and paradigms and patterns and attachments, all of it, we all know, we're all going through it together. No one on this earth is not feeling it. As we continue to see this, again, within ourselves and within the collective, within the world, what's so divine is that as it's crumbling, which looks really scary, especially to the ego that wants to fight life, at the same time, we're opening up to new consciousness, new ways, new knowledge, new wisdom, new ways of being. It's so glorious. Truly, it's glorious what we're in and what we're doing. And it's just so miraculous, really. Like the things that I've been experiencing, the power of prayer and meditation that I've been experiencing, you know, as someone who's been an avid, you know, meditator and prayer for really all my life. And it's always been powerful, but I just keep finding like the energy of these things is amplifying again and again and again, to the point where I just feel so much faith in myself. And, you know, I wish that for everyone. I think that's what we're all doing, is just reconnecting with God, reconnecting with faith, healing the illusion of separation, that we are separate from God. And again, that's the ego. That's why the ego wants to fight life. You know, we all know when we're in those states of resistance, sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's strong. You don't trust life. You're fighting life. You know, maybe you're overthinking. You're like going back and forth or trying to make a decision. I see a lot of that lately in myself and in others. Trying to do something, trying to force your way into something. For some reason, you know, that's really that question to ask, is why? You know, why am I fighting? Why am I forcing? If you get to the root of it, it's probably some kind of wound of not feeling safe, not feeling good enough, or something of that nature. Again, you know, the ego. And as I've said before, you know, I think for me at least, the best approach is having so much compassion for the ego. It's a balance of having firmness with the ego. You have to have firmness and strength, but also compassion and gentleness at the same time. Beyond duality, being able to hold the whole. And so I think that's so important. I don't find really anything good anymore comes of beating myself up for anything. In fact, more and more my goal internally is just to just really love myself, you know, really love myself and honor myself and observe myself from, you know, how my higher self sees me, how God sees me. And God is truly pure love. When you feel God in your heart, you know, I think that's why so many people have been so lost, is not feeling God in your heart. Because when you feel God in your heart, that's what changes your life. That's what changes everything. there's a lot of, again, I feel like this is kind of that old paradigm, always trying to do everything intellectually. And in the mind, and the intellect is a beautiful gift that we were given, but it's so in overdrive. There's so many problems we try to solve intellectually, when really first we need to come into our hearts and really have wisdom and really feel God's love. Because when you are in a state of separation, when you're fighting life, when you're feeling abandoned, when you're feeling unsafe, when you're feeling lost, you're feeling very real feelings that we all feel. There's really no bypassing them. It's literally part of the evolution. Remind yourself that. I remind myself that again and again and again, because it just gives you so much grace. When those moments arise, if you can begin to come into your heart, the heart is capable of shifting your consciousness in a way that will bring clarity to you, in a way that the intellect alone can never do. The intellect, and it's so hardwired in us, to be so in our minds, and I feel it. The intellect can go back and forth, and this is true within ourselves, and especially in our relationships with others, which I think is coming up a lot. We are traumatized by relationships with others, but we also heal through relationships with others. We're very social creatures. We're very connected like that. So there's a lot of things that in our minds we could speculate on and analyze on for lifetimes. And we would just keep, sometimes you can just keep digging and digging a deeper hole of complexity within the mind, trying to weigh everything out and trying to understand everything. And sometimes I find what it really takes is some kind of experience, whether it's a meditation or a prayer or some kind of healing experience, where we can basically coax ourselves back into our heart, back into the present moment, back into God's love. This is the most important thing to me right now. I mean, I don't see there's any other way. It's getting very, very clear, Again, whatever that means for you. Maybe you find God in music, in prayer, in meditation, in nature, in scripture. There's all kinds of different ways. But the key is to connect to God's love. Ask to feel God's love. Ask and you shall receive. Usually in ways you least expect it. When you feel God's love in your heart, everything makes sense. When you don't feel God's love in your heart, nothing makes sense. And in this human journey, we have this, we have this beautiful opportunity where we get to experience the whole spectrum. And, this has kind of been a big part of this human journey historically, is the illusion that we're separate from God. We've been playing in that for so long. And that's exactly what we're coming out of now. And the only way I can describe it, that I feel it in my bones, I feel it in my DNA, it's just, a knowing. Now is the time for us to return to God. And this is something that is so grand. It's beyond our human comprehension. That's why I love the term revelations, because it actually is being revealed. There's so many things that we can't understand about what this means, to truly return to God, to truly return to Source. It's something that is revealed to us every day, every moment. Especially in those moments. This is the heart of what I think I really want to say. Especially in those moments, like I said before, those alchemical points where you feel most confused, where you feel most lost, where you feel most fear. Those are the most sacred moments in your life. And I've really been reframing that in my life, and it's been so beneficial. to truly see it that way, you know, because again, often when intense emotions come up, because hello, this is human evolution. We're doing this, we're healing deep dark programs. We came here for this. We are healing things. This is, again, you have to give yourself so much credit. It's not just some little things that we're doing here. We are transforming the darkness, transforming archaic, dense consciousness that has been within humanity for so long. So rough, so much pain, so much suffering, so much confusion, so much separation, so much hatred, so much just raw, you know, throughout our ancestors, our ancestral line, and the collective, just everything, all the manipulation, the evil. We are in our life, through our life as a vessel, through this body, through this experience, we all are transforming the consciousness. It could be through a relationship, through a job, through an idea, through whatever you're doing. Really, it's always just whatever is arising. And that's another really, really important message that the ego will really confuse people with sometimes is, again, when you're on this path, you know, I think it's important to just set the intention to reach out to God and have this intention first. But as you do that and commit to that, you learn that everything that is arising is what is supposed to be arising for you. Especially the challenges. Especially the challenges. But the ego will look at the challenges and it wants to have a knee-jerk reaction and think that the challenges are God punishing you or something's wrong with you. And the ego will spin out of control when it grabs onto something that thinks that there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with me. And we go into our minds and we analyze and analyze and analyze. And for me, again, I'm just learning, like, it's kind of a dead end. You know, it's like we have to come into our hearts. The heart frequency revolution is what we need for all of us to come back into our hearts, because that's the portal of love directly connected to God. And if we're not there, everything is going to be confusing in these times. Once you're in your heart, the mind is so much more clear. The mind is so much more, you can see it from a higher perspective rather than the mind controlling you. Because again, mind control is the core of what we're breaking out of. It's hardcore. It's so hardcore. It's so easy to be controlled by your mind. And our mind is so easily controlled. Whether it's through these systems or through our own traumas and fears and doubts and discouragements. So that's a really important reminder that what's arising in your life, no matter how confusing or challenging or dense it might be, what if you started looking at that as if it was exactly what you're supposed to be doing? It was exactly to the T what you were supposed to be doing for you to transform and evolve and learn what you're supposed to learn so that you can walk this path of mastery, so that you will do the things you want to do, feel the freedom you want to feel the love you want to feel. What if it all is actually by design? I've just been learning this so much. So again, coming back to trust and trusting, really trusting. Life just is so much easier. And I've been experiencing that more, but I still go back and forth again with this evolution and learning to walk, of just discovering these new levels of trust and surrender. Trust what God is doing with you and preparing for you. Follow that 100%, you know? There's no other option, frankly, than to follow God with all your heart. I think it's always been like that. But in the times that we're in, where literally nobody knows even what's going to happen, but it's going to be something that's completely unbelievable. I think, you know, especially for our human minds, literally the return of God. It's time. And that's what we're doing. And honestly, for most of us, if you're watching this, that's all we want anyways. There's nothing of this material world that would ever even like remotely satisfy anymore. Like the jig is up. It's like these things might, there's nothing wrong with them. It's great to experience. It's part of why we're here. And sometimes I really feel like this is the last time for me, either forever or for a long time. So I try to enjoy this life. I try to enjoy this earth, this 3D earth, as much as I can. I try to have fun. But it's, we can all feel that it's time for us to evolve. And what is that? That's coming back to God. And that's the only way that I can say it. And I mean that in the most multidimensional way possible. There's nothing dogmatic about coming back to God. Satan is dogmatic. That is some, like, real assholery. Let's be clear about that. And there's so much manipulation on that. But the truth is, coming back to God, there's nothing dogmatic about it. It feels so good. It feels like peace. It feels like love. It feels like freedom. Freedom. God has given us all freedom. It's the best feeling in the world, really. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. It frees us from the shackles of these illusions and these pains and these programs that we've been playing in. But we are still human. So we have to sometimes fall and get dirty and get back up. Another thing I feel called to say too is God will always forgive you. God will always forgive you. It's Satan that will make you think that you can't be forgiven. And that's just the way I'm saying it. That's just the way it wants to come out. Just to be frank, of like the different energetic forces that, we're navigating, that are so extreme right now more than ever. So I guess, just to kind of conclude this message, is just a reminder to trust yourself so much. Come into your heart and find God and find clarity. Feel God, because that's what's going to set you up. That's what's going to make things make sense. That's what's going to make things that you think that will never make sense to you when you start to come into your heart and you just feel God. That's it. Receive. You don't have to go out and do all this crazy stuff. Just sit and receive God with humility. True humility. That's when you can start to change your perspective naturally. And all of this noise and confusion in the mind can start to slow down. And, you can start to, once again, be using your mind and not being used by your mind. But again, if you guys can understand and see the madness, the absolute batshit madness that is unfolding in the collective consciousness, you would not beat yourself up for what you're going through, because you would literally see the big picture. You would see, oh my gosh, everyone's going through this. It's such a madhouse. Nobody is getting out of this unscathed, because we literally incarnated to do this. Nobody incarnated at this time to just not be a part of this. You know what I mean? Especially if you're watching this, like, you came here to be a part of this. So that's what we're doing, and we're all doing it already. You don't need to think, I want to do that. You're already doing it, and I think we continue to align even more, with more precision, even deeper, as we continue to walk this path. And it's so beautiful. It gives me chills, because it's literally the experience of a lifetime. I mean, I'm so grateful and honored to be here, period. And especially to be here with all of you beautiful souls. And it just brings me to tears to think about all the beautiful souls here. And, what I feel like, we all sacrificed to come here and to do this out of the love in our hearts, in our souls. So honor yourself, and you can trust yourself. And just, I would say, try to enjoy the ride. Try to enjoy the ride, because we do have everything we need, and everything we need is always given to us. It's just so amazing. I mean, I feel like when you're in your heart, you can really see it so clearly, how divine it is. And when you're in your mind, everything looks so just like complete entropy. You can see it from different sides of the spectrum. But I feel concluded with that. I feel like that's sort of like, I feel like my train of thoughts just completed on that note. And I'm so grateful. I honestly had no idea what I was even going to say when I started recording, but I just was really feeling like connecting with everyone. And I'm sorry I haven't been making as many videos lately. It's just been crazy, but it's been definitely dawning on me that regardless of how crazy it is, I need to just show up, because I love all of you so much, and I pray for you. I do. And for all of us, that we are continue to be protected and shielded, and find this light and this love within us, and this wisdom and power to allow us to not only survive these times but thrive in these times. Yeah, so that's really the heart of this message, is just to trust yourself. Trust yourself. That's the message to me. I'm talking to myself as well. It's like when we're fighting life, that's a pretty clear sign that we're coming from the egotistical part of our mind that doesn't believe life is safe, that doesn't trust life, that doesn't trust God, that doesn't trust it's worth meditating on what it means to not trust life. Life is everything. That life is God. God is life, eternal life. So, it's such an important part of like our curriculum, so to speak, is to trust that. And we have not trusted that. We've been living in a paradigm of mind control. We've been living in a paradigm of look outside yourself for everything. Don't trust yourself. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust God. Times are shifting so hardcore that you have to trust God. You have to trust yourself. I mean, we still have free will. You don't literally have to, but to live a good life, you've got to continue to let go of this control that we think we have, that we don't have. It's such a relief. It's such a relief to when you know that you're not in control of this. There's a higher power literally guiding you through everything, especially the things you don't understand. Last thing I'll say. I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. Especially the things you don't understand. If you can start to flip your perspective and instead of seeing those as like these horrible challenges and getting your ego all riled up, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Why is this happening? I need to figure this out. Whatever it is, getting in our minds about it and being discouraged by it, being doubtful about it. What if we took those as opportunities to lean into who we really are even more? Instead of having a challenge and then running back to the shadows because it's freaky, what if we took moments like that to step into who we are even more as infinite, eternal beings? That it's our time. Now is our time. There's so many times where it kind of hasn't been our time, to be honest, but now is our time. I still can't even believe it sometimes, but now is our time to really shift. And I've been experiencing that more than ever in those moments, in those challenges. I'm not saying it's easy, but when those challenges arise, my whole goal, I guess I could say, is instead of retreating when those alchemical points come up, when those huge those are opportunities for quantum leaps. When something comes up that triggers the fuck out of you, that's super freaky and unnerving, if you can just embody who you really are even more, you're going to be mind blown at what happens in your life. Because that's when you really just start growing and, having less doubt, less resistance, less fear about it. You really start experiencing some incredible things. And this is what's in store for all of us, regardless of where you're at right now. We're all continuing to evolve, and it really does get better and better. Even through the challenges, even that eclipse, I think a lot of people can relate. That eclipse was brutal. That was the craziest eclipse of my life. And all I can say, though, is coming out of it, I feel more free than ever. I feel more light than ever. And so it's so worth it. It's so worth it, these initiations. So I think that's it for now. I love you all so much. Just remember to honor yourself and trust yourself and continue to do whatever you can to align with God. It's the only thing. Everything else is just going to lead to suffering. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. And again, there's nothing dogmatic about it. God is who we really are. So that's there's so many different ways you could say it, but it's really about coming back to who you really are. What a joy. What a ride. All right. Bye, everyone. See you soon.